It is no coincidence that if you want to learn one Germanic language and one Finno-Ugric language, completely unrelated languages, I don't wait for a second to say that Swedish and Finnish are the two I would choose. Starting with Swedish and then Finnish. Why? I am Benjamin Engwin, and that is what this video is about, and more. Finland has joined NATO, the military alliance, and it did so at the same time as Sweden, which is a big deal. Russia and Sweden have fought 10 wars over their long history along the eastern side of the Baltic Sea. Russia is not stupid, it knows its own history and cannot simply do what it wants to do in the Baltic Sea anymore. This is not the first time that Finns and Swedes have taken the same side in history, and I doubt it will be the last. And this tension between Sweden and Russia is a big part of what formed Finland as a country in the first place. Back in the day, Sweden was a serious power, and for most of 200 years it defeated the Russians' attempts at westward expansion into the Baltic Sea area, and Finland was like, both of you are crazy, but the Swedes, they're a bit nicer than the Russians, so we will turn our culture to face the West. When most people think of Finland, they think of an independent Nordic country. Saunas, Sibelius, Nokia, Molotov cocktails. What most people do not realize is that for nearly 700 years, Finland was not a separate country at all. From the 12th to 14th centuries, the lands of northeastern Europe, from Prussia and Lithuania in the south, all the way up to Finland and Russian Karelia in the north, faced a series of crusades against the native people for their pagan beliefs. Well, that was just the excuse. During the time, Swedish kings pushed eastward and Christianized the Finnish-speaking populations. I'm not saying this was all rosy and nice, it wasn't, but the Swedes did not wipe out whole nations of people, as was happening in the Russian steppe under the Mongols. The Swedes were trying to build a kingdom in which others could be equals, if they wanted, or if they left behind their religious beliefs. The Russians, on the other hand, were the small enclave which survived the Mongol hordes killing everyone, and that shaped the Russians. For centuries, Finland was governed from Stockholm. Finnish lords, the descendants of those who were smart enough to change sides quickly, sat in the Swedish Riksdag, their parliament. Finnish soldiers fought in Swedish armies. Finnish towns were built on the Swedish models. Their capital today, Helsinki, was founded by the Swedish in 1550. Finland's 6 biggest cities were all either founded by Swedes or transformed from villages into parishes and ports by the Swedish government, including Turku, Finland's oldest city, granted city rights around the year 1229. There are debates on when, but today's University of Helsinki actually began in Turku, built by Queen Christina of Sweden in 1640. Finland's urban backbone, the way the streets are shaped, the plazas, is a Swedish skeleton giving it form. The language of law, of government, of the church, and of education was Swedish. Finland's presidency today is shaped on the Swedish monarchy. Finland's oldest hospitals have Swedish roots. With the Reformation, the Finns became Lutheran like the Swedes, a bit annoying for the Russian Empire and its Eastern Orthodox codification of things. Finland was simply the eastern half of Sweden. For nearly 7 centuries, if you were a Finn who wanted to get on in the world and do things, you spoke Swedish. Not because you were forced to speak Swedish to the point of a sword, though that did play a small part. But because Sweden was the state, and Swedish was the language of that state. Finland did not choose Sweden in the same way a country chooses an alliance. Finland was Sweden, in the same way that Wales was England for much of its history. A distinct people, a distinct language, yes, but absorbed into a larger political form and shaped by it. If we Welsh ever choose to become a state, I have no doubt that England will be our most trusted military ally, just as Sweden is to Finland. In 1809, everything changed. Russia defeated Sweden in the Finnish War, and Finland was ceded to the Russian Empire. Overnight, after nearly 700 years of Swedish rule, Finland became a Grand Duchy under the Tsar in far-off Moscow. This was traumatic for Sweden, so much so that they got rid of one royal line and brought in another monarchy at the time. It was as if two halves of a country had been ripped apart. In many Swedish hearts, it was the removal of half of their heart. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The Russians were not stupid. They understood that if you tear a people away from an empire and bring them into another one, especially a developed one that was modeled on Western ideas, you need to give them a reason not to look back and ask Swedes to help you revolt. And so the Russian policy toward Finland was, for most of the 19th century, astoundingly lenient. To put this into perspective, the Russians banned the Polish language and forbid Lithuanians from publishing books in their languages. They wiped out whole nations along their southern border, around the Black Sea, causing languages to go extinct. And yet, Finland kept its own laws, inherited from Sweden. A diet was set up, that's a Finnish parliament of type. Then the Russians encouraged the growth of Finnish, the language, as a counterweight to Swedish cultural influence, which was strong. Think about what that means. The Russian Empire, an autocracy that wiped out whole nations for merely insulting their Tsar, promoted Finnish national identity because it weakened Finns' bond with Sweden, or so they thought. Russians' rival in the north, this was Sweden. It was not a nation that they took lightly. They'd been to war over 10 times at this point. The Finnish language movement of the 19th century, the setting up of the Kalevala as the national epic in literature, classical music, the push to make Finnish an official language alongside Swedish after 1863. All of this happened under Russian rule, not Swedish. However, the Finns were not aligning with Russia out of love. After 10 wars between Russia and Sweden over a 300-year period, the Russian Empire was exploiting Finnish culture as a weapon without fighting Sweden head-on. And Finland was like, just because you give me free stuff, Russia, does not mean I like you, yeah? But if this helps Finland, we would be stupid not to, right? So why not? Finland declared independence in 1917 in the chaos and horrors of the Russian Revolution. And at once the question that would define Finnish identity arose: which way do we face? West, toward the enlightenment of Scandinavia, or east toward northern Russia, where the Finno-Ugric language of our ancestors came from? That's a big choice. The Finnish Civil War of 1918 answered that question, in blood. The whites, pro-Western, pro-German, and with a deep bond to the old Swedish-speaking elite defeated the Reds. Thank goodness they didn't go communist. Finland turned west, or to be exact, toward a Scandinavian world with Sweden at its heart. Then during the Second World War, when the Soviet Union invaded Finland in 1939, the Winter War, Sweden did not formally join this war. But Swedish volunteers fought alongside Finns. Swedish weapons and supplies flowed across the border, and after the war, Finland's neutrality policy, or Paasikivi Kekkonen, named after two Finnish leaders, was built with one eye on its Nordic neighbors and one eye on Moscow. Flash forward to 2022, Russia invades Ukraine. Given that Finland has a 1,340-kilometer border with Russia, that's 830 miles, almost as wide across as Texas. You can see how this unsettled them. Would you like a border with Russia that is as long as Texas? It did not take long for Finland and Sweden to show they would respond to this together. Finnish President Niinisto and Swedish Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson held a joint conference in May 2022 before both countries, Finland first and then Sweden, publicly announced their intent to join NATO in a military alliance. President Niinisto said the two countries would join NATO hand in hand, whilst Prime Minister Andersson said, "We always consider Finnish security together with our own." Finland has influenced Sweden as well. When Swedish schoolchildren look at a map of Sweden throughout their history, they see Finland as a part of their nation, centuries before regions that are a part of Sweden today, which were owned by Norway and Denmark. When Russia invaded and took Finland, yes, the Finns are another people, but they broke a state into two halves. If you understand the 700 years that came before Finland and Sweden joining NATO, before Finnish independence actually, it's no surprise. It is the rhythm of what came before, rhyming with the present. So what is left of these 700 years? Well, people. Today, around 5% of Finland's population, 290,000 people, speak Swedish as their first language. They are called the Finlandssvenskar, the Finland Swedes. These are not immigrants. These are not colonists. They are not recent arrivals. These people have been in Finland for as long as the English-speaking descendants of Flemish settlers have been in Wales, in South Pembrokeshire. These Finland Swedes are the descendants of centuries of Swedish administration, prestige, settlement, and Swedish culture in Finland, intermarriage. Swedish is one of Finland's two official languages. Each Finnish child learns Swedish in school. The road signs are bilingual. The universities offer Swedish language instruction. The Finnish constitution does not say it has two nationalities. It says Finland has two languages. The Finnish president takes his oath of office in both Finnish and Swedish. This is no courtesy. It is 700 years of identity. And it flows the other way too, though less clearly. Finnish is a recognized minority language in Sweden. There are Finnish language newspapers, Finnish language radio stations, Finnish language schools. It's a lot of influence on Sweden too. Given history, it is no surprise. When you look at Finnish, the Finno-Ugric language, it is completely unrelated to Swedish in its grammar and structure. Swedish is all over the place, though. not in the grammar. Finnish grammar is difficult. This is in a agglutinative language like Japanese or Turkish, which glues everything together and changes. It's complicated. While Swedish is highly analytical, like Chinese or English, with words put into their own blocks. Finnish has 15 cases. Good grief, that's terrifying. But the vocabulary, the everyday words folk actually use, is soaking with Swedish loanwords. Let me give you some examples. The Finnish word for book is kirja. Don't use my Finnish pronunciation, okay? That book comes from the Swedish skriva, to write. The Finns had no word for book before Swedes brought Christianity and literacy. Tuoli, chair, from Swedish stol. Lassi, glass, from Swedish glas. You might have gotten that one if you speak English. Postitoimisto, post office. Posti is directly related from Swedish post. Hallitus, government, built on Swedish holla, to hold or to govern, to hold a government. Koulu, school, from Swedish skola. Kirkko, church, from Swedish kirka. Laki came from Swedish lag, for a system of laws. The words that Finnish borrowed from Swedish are not random. They are the words of a medieval Swedish kingdom's civilization. Church, school, government, writing, law. The infrastructure of a state. This is what 700 years of shared governance sounds like inside a language. And Swedish borrowed from Finnish too, though far less often. Words like poike, boy, which likely comes from the Finnish poika. The borrowing was never equal because the power lay in the Kingdom of Sweden, not any Kingdom of Finland. That's just how languages change. It's not a victim-oppressor thing. It's just history. So when someone asks me if you could learn one Germanic language and one Finno-Ugric language, which would you choose? Well, I say Swedish first and then Finnish. Not because they are easy, though Swedish is quite easy for an English speaker. Finnish, though, is infamous. Rubik's Cube infamous. No, I would learn them because they repair, historically. Learning Swedish unlocks Scandinavian. You can read Norwegian and Danish with some effort, but it unlocks a layer of Finnish vocabulary that makes sense when you know where it came from. And learning Finnish after Swedish means you are not just learning a language, you get to experience Finland through the eyes of the Swedes, whose kingdom shaped Finland's birth by ruling over it from medieval times into the early modern era. That's not a short time period. It's an appreciation of what formed it. By learning both, you are learning what happens when two unrelated language families spend 7 centuries pressed together, overlapped in power, much like Welsh and English. You are learning a bond forged in conquest, religious conversion, and living side by side, sometimes as friends, sometimes as suppressed rebels. And despite what lunatics today say about colonization, each time Finland aligns with Sweden, be it in 1918 or in the 2020s, this bond is given new life. Finland was shaped by Sweden, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. This is why Finland joined NATO alongside Sweden. Friends. Not because of a treaty, not because of a phone call, but because of 1,000 years of shared history that left its fingerprints inside the language itself. Diolch yn fawr iawn am wylio. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought about that below. and we'll see you next time.